Well, BMW has gotten on the bandwagon with the whole surveillance thing. We have had BMWs for years, and my husband just got a new one. Beautiful car. I get in and looking at the apps, which everything is so freaking hard to find nowadays, and you've got this. I'm like, interior camera? What the fuck is an interior camera? Well, according to chat, it is a camera that can be, I don't know, just watches you. Watches you in here. It can take screenshots. It can record. If you have the app, you can watch somebody that's driving your car, which is creepy weird. So I'm like, all right, where's the camera? Well, here's the camera. I mean, it's in plain sight, right there. See it? Right above, right there. So I just took a Amazon return to Kohl's, and when you get a return, they give you a coupon. Well, there is a little sticker. I just tore a piece off of it, and I'm gonna do what I do with my computer, because that's creepola. Seriously, who else is sick and tired of this shit?
How's Ford going to have a commercial about how American they are and then turn around and put the most invasive software, surveillance software, in their vehicles? It make sense.
Take a look around you next time you step outside, because the America we used to know, where you could just disappear into the background and go about your day, is quietly being replaced. It's happening right under our noses, inside the very things we buy for freedom, our cars. Between internal cameras watching your eyes, federal kill switch mandates, and private AI surveillance networks tracking your license plate on every public street, we are being forced into a digital cage. They're calling it safety and progress, but if you look at the evidence, it looks a lot more like absolute control.
It's funny is that they didn't just build the cage, they made you buy it. Somebody left me a comment on my last video about Advance Auto Parts. One of the biggest suppliers is closing 700 stores. And he said, time to learn how Cuba keeps their stuff running. Well, here's the big difference. Cuba was forced into this by an embargo. Our government is doing this to us. So let me go ahead and show you that pipeline. All right. Step one, we'll destroy the alternative. So between 1936 and 1950, General Motors and Standard Oil bought up the electric streetcar system in 45 major American cities. They ripped up all the tracks and destroyed public transportation specifically so that you would buy a vehicle. And don't get me wrong, they were convicted in court. They were charged a whopping $5,000. That's it. Step two, destroy the older cars. They mandated ethanol in your gas, which literally eats your fuel lines of older engines. Step three, cut off the auto parts supply. Advanced Auto Parts is closing 700 stores. And the crazier part is their parent company, Fram Filters and Autolite Spark Plugs, just filed for bankruptcy. So you can't even fix your older car if you want to because you can't buy the parts. So what's left? Step four, force you into a new vehicle. So what's coming down the pipe in 2027? If you guess the AI mandate kill switch, ding, ding, got it. And you know the crazy part about that, though, is they want to claim safety and all this bullshit where it can, watch your eyes, your movements, but then it can just shut your car off whenever it decides to. Weird. And then they're selling it as it's a safety thing. Safety and progress. Really? Just like the self-driving cars in California right now, because they just passed a law that's effective July 1st that allows the government to geofence your vehicle. Do you understand what that means? So they can digitally trap your car, reroute it, shut the off, and be like, well, it's an emergency. The EFF is already warning that these vehicles are mass surveillance machines on wheels. They didn't just build the cage, they destroyed the alternative, watered down your fuel, bankrupt the auto supplier, and then force you to buy the cage itself. Stop calling this bullshit progress. This is control.
Hey, you want to know something I bet you didn't know? This is the 12th junkyard in 6 weeks to mysteriously burn everything in it. Now, let me ask you a question. If you were about to take off all of the older vehicles that are on the roads, and you didn't want anybody to find parts, How would you do that? If you were about to say, you know what, we don't want all these older vehicles on our roads anymore. We're going to put new mandates. We're going to make you buy cars with sensors. We're going to do all this stuff. But how do we stop people from continuing to keep their old cars? Maybe burn all the junkyards? No, that couldn't be it, right? Like, that's just too smart of thinking, right? That's conspiracy thinking, right? This is just an accident, right? No coincidences, right? Stay safe, America.
Not to alarm anybody, but what if this EPA thing that they just passed to put more ethanol in your gas and force everybody to use more ethanol gas, what if this is not to help your wallet? What if this is to plunk your car? What if this is Cash for Clunkers 2.0? Because what did we do? We just released all these new cars with the new technology that can read all this information about you and start when it wants to start and quit driving when it wants to quit driving and be controlled remotely. Now what are people wanting to do? Not buy a new car, they're wanting a couple-year-old car. Okay, but now we can't get the technology out to the consumer. So what do we need to do? We need to pull off all the older cars that it's controlling the used car market. How do we do that? We put more ethanol in the gas. What does that do? Ethanol burns hotter than petroleum. Ethanol combusts hotter than petroleum. What does heat do? It wears out your engine faster. It makes your car less efficient. It wears all the parts, internal parts down, and it kerplunks your car. What does kerplunking the older used cars do? It kerplunks the used car market. What does kerplunking the used car market do? It forces people to buy new cars. Buy new cars with the new technology that can control your every move, that can read all your information.
What's that? Oh, something strange is going on right now after the announcement of new vehicles and how they're going to be able to monitor you. All of a sudden, 12 different junkyards have mysteriously burnt to the ground. But they can't be connected, right? Tell me more. Things are getting a little strange after the announcement of the new vehicles and how they're going to have AI. They'll be able to basically monitor everything you do. They can shut off any moment that they would like. They won't run if they don't want to because you don't look fit to drive. But now something strange is going on involving old vehicles in case you wanted to keep them. And what better way to get rid of old vehicles than getting rid of the parts you can get for those vehicles? but they're not connected, right? Oh, and then, of course, on top of that, over 700 advanced auto parts stores are closing as well. They're not connected.
They are going to take the steering wheel out of your truck. Not eventually. Right now, it's already happening. And everything that they've done to your vehicle for the last 10 years, every camera, every sensor, every restriction, every mandate was a step towards that moment. And up until now, they've been hoping that you just didn't notice. In February of this year, the first Tesla Cybercab rolled off the production line in Texas. It has no steering wheel, it has no pedals, no manual controls of any kind. You get in, you tell it where you want to go, you sit there, that's it. The regulatory runway is being built right now for a vehicle that, no joke, in Austin crashes at 4 times the rate of a human driver. Nobody asked us, and we didn't vote for it. And that was always the goal of the process that started the day that your car first told you that you were drifting out of your lane, or maybe that you were a little too tired to drive. Now, we were going to shoot this out on the ranch, but we just ran out of time this week. But stick with me for the analogy. It's important. When you move cattle through a chute, you don't show them where they're going. The alley has a curve for a reason. They can only see a few steps ahead. What's behind them feels more dangerous than what's in front. So they move forward, one step at a time, willingly. And by the time they can see the end of the chute, the decision has already been made for them. Now let's walk down that chute that they built for you. Step 1, lane departure warning. The car tells you when you've been drifting. And you accepted that. Step 2, automatic emergency braking. The car overrides your decision and stops without your input. And you accepted that too. Step 3, adaptive cruise control. You handed the car your speed. Step 4, hands-free highway driving. You stop steering. Step 5, driver monitoring cameras. The car watches your eyes to decide if you're paying enough attention. Step 6, a federal mandate for passive impairment detection. The law requires the car to decide if you're fit to drive. Step 7, Ford patents biometric surveillance, lip reading, iris scanning, criminal record checks inside the cab of your own truck. Step 8, the kill switch. The car decides whether you even drive at all. Step 9, no steering wheel. Now look at that list. Every single step was sold to you as a safety feature, taking us further and further from analog controls on purpose. And just like cattle in a chute, that decision has already been made for you. Before you touch the ignition, Before you've done a single thing wrong, the camera is already watching your face. The sensor is already measuring your heart rate. The system is already running a calculation on whether you're fit to drive. Your agency has been stripped away and you have to beg some safety software for permission to use the truck that you paid for every time you get in your own truck. In America, you are innocent until proven guilty, except apparently in our own trucks and our own driveways. Because Ford's system doesn't assume that you're sober. It assumes you're drunk or high. And you have to prove otherwise to a camera before you're allowed to drive the vehicle that you own. And before you think this is just a Ford problem, it's not. Ford may have filed the patents, but the mandate, it came from Washington, D.C., buried inside a 2,700-page infrastructure bill back in 2021, signed into law without a single American voting for it. This isn't just coming for Ford trucks. It's coming for every new vehicle on the road. So the natural question to ask is why? So here's a breakdown of the driver versus passenger business model. A driver owns a vehicle. A passenger pays per mile. A driver maintains their own truck. A passenger generates recurring revenue for a service. A driver's data is limited, but a passenger in an autonomous vehicle generates a continuous surveillance profile. Location, behavior preferences, biometrics every single trip. The truck in your driveway that you own outright, that you fuel anywhere, that you fix yourself, represents money that will never flow to them. That truck is the enemy of that business model. So the business model has been patiently, methodically, one feature at a time, making you a passenger by attrition. And let me be really clear about this. I am not against electric vehicles. I'm not against technology. I love technology, and I've spent my entire career in technology.
Hey, what's up, America? 24-hour police surveillance from drones begins service in Nashville, Tennessee, and other towns throughout Tennessee. So Nashville, Tennessee has announced a program of launching drones to help with EMS and police services, some running as long as 24 hours a day. Another town called Mount Juliet has launched 24-hour drone surveillance of the community for safety reasons. So, of course, this is the flock camera systems in drone form. As you know, more than likely coming up, these will be integrated with data centers, meaning 24-hour police surveillance from drones is a reality and is starting now. You can expect this to expand to every major city in the United States and smaller communities as well, meaning the days of actually being able to go out in public and not be seen by a camera are over. First, we had none of that. Then we had commercial surveillance from stores. Then it bolstered into police surveillance. Now you have license plate readers that are monitoring you everywhere. Now drone technology will be watching you 24 hours a day, starting down in Tennessee. So you see where this is headed, right? Eventually, for safety, they'll monitor everything you do in public, monitor all your behavior online, phone activity. It will be every single thing you do. Banking, purchasing, just as a matter of course in case. So the surveillance state that you always feared is being built up. But don't just blame Donald Trump. This started back in the 90s. It's just now getting to the point where data centers can be integrated with it, and it can actually do this to watch everybody at all times and monitor and curtail their behavior in real time. So this should sicken you, and this should be a reason to protest, but I know you won't. You'll think it's for safety, won't you? How stupid.
Now, if you see something like this, or this, in your area, then you might be living under one of the largest mass surveillance programs that has proliferated across the United States. What's behind me is a license plate camera owned by the company Flock. And Flock builds these networks of cameras that are put up, like you see, to allegedly read license plates and allow law enforcement to track vehicles as they move across cities and states. Now, Flock originally marketed itself as a safety network, a crime deterrent, or as a tool for police to build safer communities. Flock sold itself to communities as an AI-powered way to build a network of license plate cameras that could help police crack down on crime and build safer communities. But as they've proliferated across the country, safety concerns, privacy concerns, and abuse of power when it comes to these networks has been rampant. As a runner, I love running outside, and I also recognize that my access to outdoor green space is incredibly political because it's driven by legacies of redlining, over-policing, and state surveillance like these cameras right here. In its contracts and its public communications, Flock promises to hold data securely and be free of abuses of power, and to not cooperate with corporations that want to abuse that data, sell it, or cooperate with immigration enforcement like ICE. But the reality is turning out to be much more complicated. In Atlanta, really excellent reporting by Atlanta Community Press Collective revealed that while Flock might not cooperate directly with ICE, police officers allowed DHS agents to search Flock databases to locate cars that they were looking for. Plus, laws like 287G that deputize police officers to become ICE agents in their own communities make it much more complicated to say that agencies with these contracts don't cooperate with immigration enforcement and use Flock to do that. In addition, the use of Flock data to do things like allow police officers with a history of intimate partner violence to stalk their ex-girlfriends or ex-partners has raised serious concerns about how this data is being stored and who gets access to it. And recently, investigative reporting from one outlet in Metro Atlanta showed that employees were using Flock footage to watch the cameras repeatedly outside of a children's gymnastics studio. Plus, because Flock is a private company, there's a lot of obscurity over how this data is stored, what data is actually recorded, and how it's analyzed. Meaning that if you just want to avoid being part of a massive surveillance network every time you leave your door, that's very difficult. Flock has proliferated into hundreds of cities across the United States, meaning that it's pretty likely that you'll see a camera just like that one. It's also important to recognize that companies like Flock are getting tens of millions of dollars from local governments because of these contracts. What we need to think about is how local leaders we elect use our tax funds and whether or not investing millions of dollars in building a shadowy, hard to understand, and poorly protected surveillance apparatus actually serves community safety. Now, all of these privacy concerns haven't gone unnoticed. And in a lot of communities, citizens are starting to push back, asking why we have these contracts, if they're actually serving community safety, and how people's data is being protected. Because if you do any kind of outdoor activity, like I'm doing right now, you should have the right to know that your data isn't being sold and that your image isn't being tracked as you do it, especially by a private AI-powered company. But next time you're outside, whether you're going to run errands or going for a run, pay attention to if you see any cameras around you, and if so, what company contracts with them? Because the reality is, it shouldn't be radical to not want to be tracked every time you step outside your door. But because of how capitalism incentivizes and profits off of mass surveillance by companies just like Flock, that's what it's become. And if you run, if you bike, or if you just commute to work, this could affect you too. And that's why access to the outdoors is political for all of us.
What we're seeing isn't a series of random coincidences. From private tech firms like Flock raking in millions of tax dollars to track our every move, to the systematic erosion of older analog vehicles through parts scarcity and regulatory squeeze, the end game is entirely financial and institutional. They want to turn us from drivers who own our independence into perpetual passengers who pay per mile, generating a non-stop biometric and behavioral data profile. When corporate patents and buried infrastructure bills conspire to strip away the basic assumption of innocence in your own driveway, the human cost is our fundamental liberty. We're trading our privacy for an illusion of safety, and by the time most people realize the trap has sprung, the steering wheel will already be gone. Have you noticed more surveillance cameras or automated systems tracking you in your hometown? Are you planning to hold on to your older analog car as long as possible? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.